Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Writer's Canvas, where we break down tips and tricks to help make your writing immersive and engaging. Today, we're talking about something that a lot of writers struggle with, knowing when to put down a project. There's a lot of noise out there about perseverance, about never quitting, about pushing through no matter what. But let's be real. Sometimes, quitting is the best thing you could do for yourself as a writer. And that's not just okay. Sometimes it's necessary. Let's talk about it. The idea of quitting gets a bad reputation. Society loves the underdog story, the one where the hero pushes through adversity and comes out victorious on the other side. And that's great. Sometimes perseverance is the answer, but not always. Sometimes the story just isn't working. Sometimes the fire that got you started burns out, and no amount of kindling will bring it back to life. And you know what? That's okay. Let's start at the beginning. You have an idea, and it hits you like a lightning bolt. You can feel it thrumming in your chest, begging to be written. The excitement is electric, and for a while, everything flows. It's magic. But then something shifts. Maybe it's gradual. Maybe it's sudden. But one day, sitting down to write feels like wading through wet cement. The spark is gone. You push through anyways because you've been told that's what writers do. But every time you open that document, your stomach knots. The words don't come. It feels like forcing out creativity with a crowbar. What used to bring you joy now drains you. And that's a problem. Writing should challenge you. Yes, it should push you. But it should not make you miserable. If a project is making you actively hate writing, that's a sign. You're allowed to listen to that feeling. More than that, you should listen to it. There's this fear, especially in creative spaces, that stopping means failure, that if you put a project down, you aren't dedicated enough, you aren't a real writer, that maybe you aren't cut out for this. But that's a lie, a massive, soul-crushing lie. Walking away from a project isn't failure, it's a decision, it's a skill. Knowing when to say this isn't working for me anymore is just as important as knowing how to push through a difficult scene. Because here's the thing, not every story is meant to be finished. Sometimes a project exists to teach you something. Maybe you started writing and realized your heart wasn't actually in the genre. Maybe it helped you discover a theme or a character type that resonates with you, but the story itself just isn't it. That's valuable. That's not a loss. Every word you write, even on something you never finish, is practice. It's making you a better writer. Even the projects that crash and burn serve a purpose. But how do you know the difference between something you should push through and something you should let go? That's the hard part, and it's different for everybody. For me, a tough scene, a tricky middle act, those are challenges to be solved. But if sitting down to work on your story consistently fills you with dread, if you are actively avoiding it, if writing feels like a punishment instead of joy, that's a clue. And if that feeling doesn't go away after taking a break, after approaching it from a new angle, after giving yourself space to breathe, after trying everything you can to get it to work, then maybe, just maybe, it's time to let go. And that doesn't mean you have to delete it forever. You could put it in a folder labeled "Gone for Now." You could step away and see if the spark ever returns. But if it doesn't, that's okay. If you put it down, it's okay. The project served its purpose and you're free to move on. Here's another reason why it's okay to stop. You need space to find the right story. Sometimes you have to write the wrong thing before you can get to the right thing. A lot of my best projects happened after I stopped writing something else. Maybe this project was the warm-up act. Maybe it's the side piece before your main gig. Maybe it was a stepping stone to something better. And if you force yourself to finish something that no longer excites you, you could be wasting time that could be spent on a story that sets your soul on fire. Or you could be getting rid of that passion to write forever. And yes, let's acknowledge the other side of this argument. Some people will say that if you let yourself quit once, it's easier to quit again. That you have to be careful not to let yourself walk away just because something got hard. And that's valid. That's so incredibly valid. Writing is work. It's not always going to be fun. But that's why listening to yourself matters. If you're walking away because you're avoiding a challenge, that's one thing. But if you're walking away because the project is draining you, because it became something you resent rather than something you love, that's something else entirely. It's not quitting, it's making room for something better. And let's be clear, this doesn't mean you'll never struggle again. Every story, even the ones you love, will have hard moments. There will be days when the words won't come, when you doubt yourself, when writing feels more like a chore than a passion. But those moments are different from the deep, gut-level knowing that a project is done for you. That's what we're talking about. That's what you should learn to recognize. So if you find yourself in that place, starting a project that makes you miserable, that sucks the life out of you, instead of fueling you, what do? First, you give yourself permission to step back. Let yourself consider the possibility that the story doesn't have to be finished, that you're allowed to let go. And sometimes doing this will reignite that passion. But if it doesn't, then you decide what letting go means for you. Maybe it's a temporary break. Maybe it's a hard stop. Maybe it's just putting it in a folder and telling yourself you'll revisit it someday. However you do it, the important thing is that you give yourself space to move on without guilt. Because there's no shame in letting go. There's only growth. And sometimes walking away from one project is the only way to find the one that really matters. That's a wrap on this episode of The Writer's Canvas. If you had fun or learned something new, don't forget to tap that like button, share it with your fellow wordsmiths, and hit subscribe to keep the inspiration rolling. Got a topic you're dying to see covered? Drop it in the comments below. I'm always up for a good writing challenge. If you want to keep the conversation going and hang out with me and some other amazing writers, come join the community Discord. The link is in the description below. We'd love to have you. I'm also streaming on Twitch. Right now, I'm getting back into gaming, but soon I'll be writing live as well. Come hang out. Until next time, keep writing, keep evolving, and know that sometimes the best choice is to walk away and make room for something even better. Happy writing!